This week on your winter weigh-in, the Wizard of Wars produces some magic at Ellerslie, taking out 2 of the 3 features. Bruno Queiroz and Francie light up the Trentham track in the Rangitikei Gold Cup. Plus, across the ditch, all eyes are on Queensland. We review the Doomben 10,000 plus a deep undercard. Hello and a very warm welcome to this week's edition of your Winter Weigh-In. Great to have your company. Sam Weatherly is currently travelling to Australia, so we've got a good stand-in though. Aidan Rodley joins me, and Aidan, I thoroughly enjoyed my weekend at Ellerslie filling in for you. The weather was beautiful and there were some great horses on track as well.
Yeah, and we was just standing side by side, Price. I'm jockey size. I can probably fill in for Sam. It was certainly height-wise at the very least. But yeah, like you say, Emily, it was really good racing. I thought there was some very good rides at Ellerslie to bring about some memorable wins. Good racing, although obviously trickier conditions down at Trentham for Rangitikei Gold Cup Day.
Yeah, there sure were. Let's start with the reviews, and we kick things off with a look at Ellerslie on what was a fine afternoon.
Race number 3 here at Ellerslie on the soft 5. The open handicap, they're underway. It was a very good line away again. Grand Galo came to the 250. Emperor Vu, but Bourbon Empress from last has swooped out wide. Bourbon Empress, Emperor Vu's going to race it. Emperor Vu kicked again. Sterling Express got the run right through on the inside. A stroke of genius from Kennedy. Sterling Express beat Emperor Vu. Cinnamon might have got up for 3rd in a 3-4-way go.
That's a very, very good ride from Warren Kennedy. Patient 3-back defence.
I know he's a really nice horse. He's got a great turn of foot about him, but yeah, if you ask me at the 400, I'd say I'd be sitting past the post here. There's just nowhere to go with him. Fortunately, half a split opened, and I had so much horse underneath me, he was able to scoot through it and win quite convincingly today.
Black Type Racing, Sky City Champagne Stakes field set. The 2-year-olds are off and racing. Do You Justice clear by 4. Toretto, Towering Vision not making up the necessary. And in fact, Do You Just, the further they go, the further he gets in front of us. It's Sky City Champagne Stakes for Do You Just, and that's how you just do it. Towering Vision second, followed by Toretto. Turned it into a one-horse affair to Do You Just. He had them in all sorts of trouble, but to be fair, he has continued to run away close home. Do You Just, a big and dominant winner of the Sky City Champagne Stakes.
Who shouts dinner, Caitlin? Is it on Dad?
Oh, look, that'll still be on Dad. Yeah, it's still on Dad. Look, Mark Chittick's the majority shareholder, followed by Dad, and Tom and I are sort of the esteemed 1%ers involved, but it doesn't really matter what percentage you have, the excitement's the same. So, yeah, thrilled today, and like Dad mentioned, we've always really loved the horse the whole way through, so it's awesome to sort of see him do it on the track.
You know, when I first rode him, I put him behind horses. He's just a bit raw and a bit erratic. He latched onto the bottom and he just over-raced me completely last start, and he just wasn't able to use himself the way he should. So today, I didn't know where the pace was going to come from, so I was quite happy to lead on him and let him use his action. And when he extends off that, he really gets going, and geez, he won a very good race.
Race 6 here at Ellerslie. Evergreen Bloodstock 1100. Good contest for the 3-year-olds. And they're off. Luke Cullen comes to the 250. Celestial Wonder goes to it out wide as Chicago Jack. Chicago Jack is sweeping home out wide. It's still Celestial Wonder. Celestial Wonder hanging on, and Celestial Wonder beats Chicago Jack and Luke Cullen.
Another good ride by Craig Grills. Managed to get in the 1-1 without doing any work and got a nice suck into the race. And just when you thought Chicago Jack was going to blaze past him at the sort of a 150, 100, and she's dug deep. 55 kilos on her back is a big plus.
Often racing in the Tab Racing Club 2100. Real staggered start, that one. King of the North got a very poor start. He's 5 lengths behind the main body of the field. Back in the field, Flamenco, and King of the North, after the bad beginning, is tagging on at the tail. Only Gentle Tempo. King of the North's putting up some performance from last out wide. No plan B. Procella drove through close in. King of the North is out wide and getting home strongly. King of the North, the Game of Thrones fans, gets home to win from a photo. Back back on his throne, King of the North, and what a performance.
Huge win from a horse who's got it wrong at the start, and then you could just see the horse starting to roll into about the 800 metre mark, and then 100 left to go. Tristan Moody had the time to be able to turn around and just think, well, what happened to the rest of you? I've just cleaned you all up.
Set in the last to Your Ride 1600, off and racing. Which way to look? Out wide, Arundel Castle, and Lorado from last on the outside fence. Lorado beats Arundel Castle, close third between Avaje's Flight, Ellerslie. Another thrilling finish here at Ellerslie, and it's a last to first from Lorado, way out wide, and Tristan Moodley brings up a treble, and didn't he enjoy it? A bit of lip past the line as he gets up to beat Arundel Castle.
It was a fun afternoon on track at headquarters, and as you saw there, some good winners to follow. Let's start by reviewing that feature, the listed Champagne Stakes from Ellerslie. It was taken out by the Waikato stud colours and a horse by the name of Do You Just. And Aidan, they really took matters into their own hands, a really good front-running ride by Warren Kennedy.
Superb ride from Kennedy. This was a dominant performance, and especially the way that Do You Just gets away from them. But he's got them struggling behind him on the bend, and for mine, it was just a lovely ride from Warren, and undoubtedly Do You Just was superior, but I really think the ride was a long way in going towards it. Toretto's really good in behind. While Do You Just runs out the quickest, 8.64 in 2 of the race, Rufus, who gets home nicely, just one off the fence in the red colours, runs the second quickest closing sectional. So, yeah, Towering Vision, good as well. So there's a lot to like, but the winner looks progressive. And I guess now, you know, you win a stakes race at 1,600 metres as a 2-year-old Emily, and it does open the doors in the spring, doesn't it?
It was really interesting talking to the connections pre-race and post-race, because pre-race they were really confident about the chances of Do You Just, and then post-race they sort of said, talking to Lance O'Sullivan, we expected a performance like this prior to today. So it's really good to see him actually do it, because this is our opinion of him, that he is a good horse in the making. So it was interesting to sort of get that feedback. That's the opinion they have of him. But he's raw, he's a bit erratic, and I think putting it all together as a 3-year-old, we might see even a more refined version. Interesting, only the 4th individual 2-year-old stakes winner by So You Think. Obviously, he's sired some pretty good horses, but 2-year-olds is not his traditional path, which maybe makes this horse even more exciting, because he's only going to improve. Especially
as he approaches his classic season, right? And he does look like a horse who's going to improve with a bit of strengthening, a bit of growing up about him. Especially late, I know he's got away from them and won by 6.5, but even when Warren sort of eases him down, there's just see him sort of thinking, oh yeah, there's just something about this horse. You just want to see him grow as a 3-year-old. Interesting to hear you say them so confident, because you know Towering Vision, Toretto were vastly superior to him the start before at Te Rapa. So, you know, he's really turned the tables on him. And I think a big part of that was just how good the ride was from Warren. In terms of the beaten horses, obviously Towering Vision was the pre-start favourite. And on the day I thought, oh, that's a bit disappointing. But actually on reflection, maybe Towering Vision just stuck on a little bit one-paced and didn't quite have the kick that Do You Just had. I wonder whether a lot of that was that Kennedy had got them out of their comfort zones on the bend, and they were really forced to chase a lot earlier than what they had been in previous starts. So, you know, I think the winner was superior, benefited from a great ride, and I think maybe there's excuses for those in behind, because they were struggling a long way out, because he turned it into a sit sprint and then ran away from them. You didn't hear it in the interview there, but on the race day, it was funny. The ownership group is obviously Waikato stud and Caitlin O'Sullivan, Lance's daughter, and her husband Tom Doyle, and he's been involved in Molly Boom, Grand Gallo, Do You Just, and also has a share in King of the North. So he maybe takes the title as one of the New Zealand's most luckiest. Luckiest. Well, it sounds like he's adding luck to that syndication. You know, you just want to get him into your syndicate, don't you? Yeah, you take a share, so we've got a chance of getting the rub of the green. Exactly right. Let's move on to our next race that we review, and it is that open handicap. It was taken out by Sterling Express, and another really exciting horse, Aidan, in the making. Sterling Express obviously was a winner fresh, and I remember post-race the Brosnan team sort of commenting, oh, we thought he was a run short and we thought he'd be better with time. He's won again, and he's done it really impressively
Warren has had to be at his most patient best because there was nowhere for him to go turning in.
Yeah, and I wonder whether that was a blessing in disguise. That, you know, he was forced to be held up because all those horses who had got there and looking like they're going to finish off the race just didn't round it off. And then he's been able to just come with one sharp sprint. You can see Doomben Empress come out wide, looked to be a big chance through the middle in preview. Dusty Road was pretty good after being 3 wide for the trip, but Sterling Express now makes it 2 from 2 for the preparation, a winner now of 6 of 16. Mark Brosnan's team's going really nicely at the moment. He's doing a good job with the horse. He's obviously got a lot of time for. In preview, pretty good.
Cinnamon was quite big.
Cinnamon was exactly the same.
Didn't take that same path that Sterling Express took, elected to come off heels and come out to the middle of the track, but closed it off pretty gamely.
Yeah, and did run the second quickest last 400, quickest last 200, preview with the quickest last 800, 400, second quickest last 600 and 200. And Bourbon Empress, who did peak on the run, the quickest last 600, second quickest last 800. They'll go to Ellerslie on June the 7th with Bourbon Express Empress, and then decide whether they'll go on to the Tauranga Classic at stakes level, or whether they freshen up and come back for those first couple of legs of the Triple Crown. And of course, there are different venues this time round. I think Ellerslie's hosting one, isn't it?
And the Brosnans with Sterling Express mentioned that the Opunake Cup might be an option, but there was some consideration that Sterling Express might not like heavy tracks, so they would reconsider. And probably just worth mentioning with that 2-year-old race, Towering Vision goes to the paddock, as does our winner, Do You Just. So not a whole lot to report in terms of horses coming through the 2-year-old feature. Let's move on to the 3-year-olds, and this one was won by Celestial Wonder, the 3-year-old event, and came through that midfield finish, Aidan, in the Cambridge Breeders' Stakes, and they rode Celestial Wonder pretty positively and behind the speed, and God, it was a tough effort because challenges were coming, but has been really gutsy.
I wonder whether Craig Grylls had sort of taken note of what was going on earlier in the day to really frame his ride here. I thought his ride was superb here. Celestial Wonder was able to get into the trail on what was a pretty solid speed, and Luke Cullen, who's been the speed horse in the race, has kicked on really nicely. He's only beaten a short margin. Big run from Chicago Jack, who was a 16-start maiden, or 15-start maiden going into it, 16-start maiden now. I think as good as what we've seen from Chicago Jack, and actually was quicker home than Velocious. Now, I think you've got to be a little bit forgiving on Velocious because of the big weight and just the slow beginning again. She'll hopefully get some weight relief going to an open sprint this weekend, but take nothing away from Celestial Wonder. She's a class filly, and she's got more in front of her too. Yeah,
she has. She's tough. She goes to the paddock as well, talking to the Tiakau team this morning. So to the paddock for your winner there, Celestial Wonder. Well, we leave the Ellerslie action and we get you down to Trentham. And we saw Francie featuring in the opener, winner of the Rangitikei Gold Cup. And it was a fairy tale success, really, wasn't it? A first New Zealand Stakes win for Bruno Queiroz, and also for the connections of Francie, who pick up that really valuable black type win.
Exactly. It's obviously, she was out of the handicap a little bit here, but she goes now possibly to a break as a stakes winner, and who knows, maybe that's her done enough. Boy, this guy can ride, can't he? Bruno's been such a good asset already. We've seen him come in, get success straight away, and he's really lifted this horse. And what was a blanket finish to basically 5 of them across the track. I know Bradman's in the end finished half a length away in 4th, but it's a cracking grandstand finish, which also makes you just query the quality of the form. I just don't know whether we're going to see a great deal coming out of this. Kanchi, who was eye-catching, run all the quickest closing sectionals, 8.64 and 2, chased the second quickest, 8.6 and 2, and Francie has run the second quickest last 400. So sectionally, it's just such an even race, but hats off to the Honui team, to Tiakau again with Francie getting the prize.
And talking to connections, I think they're considering maybe that might be a last run for Francie. She goes to the Broodmare barn, but they're just going to give her a break and consider from there. But a real highlight for them picking up that black type success. We're going to take a break here on your winter weigh-in. On the back of that, as promised, we take it across the ditch into Queensland for the Doomben 10,000.
Now we're set to go for the 7 Spirit of Boom Classic. Racing, Cool Archie made a good start from a good gate. Cool Archie, Archie's bursting through. Then came Grafter Burners and Gallo Nero on the outside. 100 to go, a great 3-way go. Cool Archie, Gallo Nero, they bit off Grafter Burners. Photo finish, Cool Archie. Nereus goes up. Last one to come up is Star Vega. Now we're set for the chairmans for the JRA. Racing. Sir Delius is now starting to wind up in the centre. Here comes the import. He's still got a bit of work to do. He's got to catch Floating. Can he? 100 left to run. Floating in front. Sir Delius. Here he comes. Sir Delius got the upper hand, pulled away, and the favourites home with the chairmans. Sir Delius beat home Floating. Set for the 10,000. Started with the button. Stand by. Racing. In the home straight, plenty with the chance here. Libertad and Rothfire on the outside. Schwartz Marzu battling on, and now Sunshine in Paris, given a cue, is coming right down the outside. Rothfire's in front. Sunshine in Paris is trying hard. Rothfire and Sunshine in Paris. Sunshine in Paris got the lead and won from Rothfire and Payline.
She thoroughly deserved it. She's competed against the best all the way through the autumn, and she was very tough there. So it was great to get a result for the Archibald team, and they've done an extremely good job.
Set for the final event, ready to break. Racing Brisbane, in the straight, Imperialist at big odds, raced to the lead, took control of it from our benefactor. Then came Shangri-La Spring, King of Thunder, Deep Focus down the outside. Imperialist is well clear. Our benefactor can't reach it. Maison Louis running on, and Deep Focus right down the outside. But Imperialist at big odds causes an upset. Beat Deep Focus, King of Thunder, Maison Louis, and our benefactor.
Group 1 action from Doomben. The Doomben 10,000 was won by Sunshine in Paris for the Archibald team and James McDonald. We heard there from James a very well-deserved win by Sunshine in Paris. Obviously has been racing the best horses all autumn and gets the victory. I guess the talking point for us is not only the race but also James McDonald's Group 1 record, which continues to rise.
Absolutely. It'll be inside the next 12 months when he breaks Damien Oliver's record of 129. That was his 117th win, I think his 19th for the season, so he's equalled what he did the previous season. And there's still the rest of the Queensland Carnival to go. He could well get to 20, which would be a massive number, and just really fitting to see Cool Archie winning earlier on, because they were the colours that James wore to win his first of his now 6 Group 1s in Queensland for Graham and Debbie Rogers, and that's Max Whitby's colours going back into the Queensland Oaks from a few years ago. But again, he just tracks into it beautifully. He's just got such a great understanding of how a race is going to unfold, presents at the right time, and here's a horse who's done the rest. He's got a great record now, 7 of 17. Does it in heavy 8 conditions here, but that's the beauty about James McDonald. He's so balanced, it just really doesn't matter what you're racing on, because he's going to get the best out of every mount he's got.
And seeing that there, that tight finish, also so strong in a finish as well, you know that he can lift them when needed. I think Rothfire loses no admirers, Aidan. I don't know what your opinion is, but a really brave effort by the local horse Rothfire, and I think showed that good improvement first to second up, and no doubt can improve again. But Sunshine in Paris gets that victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with what you're saying on Rothfire, and hasn't he been a great stalwart for Rob Heathcote right through his career? And considering, you know, he was basically he was done. You know, he's come back from basic retirement as a late 3-year-old and doing that now. But it was a competitive race, but again, ticking the James McDonald column.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's move on to the next race that we highlight, which is the JRA Chairman's Handicap. And the Gay Waterhouse Adrian Bott team unleashed a very exciting European import in Sir Delius, and makes mincemeat of rivals. And I think that's a real omen of things to come.
Oh boy, this is so impressive. I'm taken by this horse. He'd had 3 wins from 6 starts in Europe. He'd been in the money in every start before going to what was a Group 1 Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, you know, one of the world's very, very best races, and he's run with merit there. Comes to Australia on debut, won his trial really nicely leading into this. Goes around in the colours of Sir Owen Glen, so we'll claim him as a Kiwi, especially if he can go better than Criterion's Melbourne Cup third in November for Sir Owen. I just really like what I see of him. Look at him stick his neck out, want to win. I really like the horse, Emily. What did you make of this?
Yeah, really liked the performance, and I love horses heading towards, they've indicated they're going to go towards a Melbourne Cup with that residual fitness from a Queensland winter. We've seen it work time and time again. A horse like Incentivise, Vow and Declare, where they race through the Queensland winter, they can spell up in Queensland, they've got the residual fitness, and then for a Melbourne Cup preparation, it all adds up quite nicely. A 1.3 million guineas purchase, so it was a pretty talented horse, obviously, and has the confirmation to match that 2024 Tattersalls Autumn Horses and Training sale. So brings good form, and we know what Gay Waterhouse, Nature and Bot can do with these top-line performers. So I think we're going to see a lot more of Sir Delius, and the Melbourne Cup beckons, but I think a stop in at the Q22 in Queensland prior to that. Yeah,
just in behind them, Nereus for Sean Ritchie, Colin Murray, probably just asked a little bit too much, did a lot of work in racing. Speaking to Colin today, they'll go to the Q22 on Derby Day next. They scratched David Deo out of the race, who's been sort of set for Brisbane Cup, goes to a rating 79 race on Friday to kick off his Queensland campaign. So the other New Zealander in action was Croupier, who just wasn't up to his very best in the Rough Habit Plate there on Saturday.
Good stuff. Well, talking of Melbourne Cup tickets, let's get you to Flemington, because Emily and David Brown had a pretty good winner in a race that qualifies you for the Melbourne Cup. And Aidan, as we come to you, obviously Dean Yendall powered past Berkshire Breeze aboard this horse to win.
Yeah, we're just looking for the horse just coming outside. He gets to clear running around about now on the outside of the grey. So she was a really good 3-year-old filly. I think she'd been competitive in a Wakefield, maybe even won a Wakefield going into a third placing in a Group 1 Victorian Oaks. That was at Flemington. This is up to 3,200 metres. She looks an out-and-out stayer. She's by Stefanos. David and Emily bred her themselves. Obviously, they remain in the ownership with a whole host of... But Jesus is flying the flag for their stable in Victoria for sure, but we'll claim it as a Kiwi win again, won't we, Em?
Of course we will, and obviously has that Melbourne Cup ticket, so that's what you wanted for the Connections. That's going to be so exciting. The Connections, talking of them, they were pretty excited on the day. We've got some vision of one of the Connections sprinting down the Flemington success post-victory. Look at this. This is what it's all about after victory there for the team. But good on them, because they took the option to go across the ditch and set up a stable there, and they've got that victory, and no doubt that's so rewarding. And a Melbourne Cup ticket, how exciting.
Everything sounds better to the Titanic music there, doesn't it?
I was hoping you'd sing along, Aidan, give us a few verses of that.
You're the singer, Emily.
Yeah, thanks. Let's stick around in Melbourne and have a look at what Yaldi did at Flemington, the K.A. Morrison handicap. Zurain was the winner, and Yaldi went oh so close, Aidan.
Oh, he was presented at the right time, and it's just a case like he's not that far away. He does dive at them late. Just speaking to Stephen Marsh this morning, you can see there Super Photon, who's just maybe done a little bit too much work in the run, just not up to his best. But he did say that just come back with a bit of a tender hoof off the back of that race. They'll just assess him before whether they start again. I think you've spoken to Andrew Forsman about Yaldi and what their plans are. You can see him 3-back the fence, just looking for the gaps to open. And when he does, I thought he hit the line well. I thought he could have been a factor in this race. First of all, what do you assess of it, and what's the news on Yaldi?
Not much news on Yaldi. Andrew Forsman just said they haven't quite decided what they're going to do yet. I know you mentioned there was a couple of nice races upcoming, or similar races. Yeah. He went close, didn't he? He sort of got through that gap, and it's come right down to the wire. And as you said, maybe a little bit dour in the closing stages and just stuck on gamely. But there's not much in it, is there?
He is that type of horse, though. He's not one of the horses you can get to the front too soon, so you've got to time him right. They did give him his opportunity, but he just wasn't quite sharp enough. And what was a really good race, I think he's run with real credit again, but unfortunately just not being able to get the biscuits.
No, it wasn't for him that day. Well, we leave our race reviews across Australasia, and we get you to international news. It was a pretty rough running of the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes. Here's a look at the closing stages. Journalism is the eventual winner, but Aidan, he pretty much has to survive being almost put through the rail to get the win. Things got pretty tight for Umberto Rispoli.
This is the epitome of competitive riding. You can see just being held in, but boy, that just went a little bit too far. And the journalism comes out by having that interference. Just about the race is gone. on. But geez, he's a good horse. When he was running the Kentucky Derby, proved that. He was running the Florida Derby leading into that was excellent as well. He now picks up one of the key legs of the Triple Crown, and that was a deserving win, especially with what happened. You get in a few little skirmishes like that in your riding days, Em?
I've never ridden in a race, Aidan, and I would have just about fallen off if that had happened in track work or something. But no, definitely not for me. The winner of the Kentucky Derby, Sovereignty, didn't contest the Preakness, so obviously the Triple Crown not alive for this year. But so interesting with the distances. We were talking about this pre-show. The Kentucky Derby's 2,000. They drop back to the 1,900 for the Preakness and then step up to the 2,400 for the Belmont. So it is quite an interesting schedule and shows the versatility of these horses. But as you said, journalism close in the Kentucky Derby and has lived up to expectations.
Yeah, I have been watching social media around these Triple Crown races, and there's almost an expectation in America where if you win the Kentucky Derby, there's an expectation you go on and contest the next leg. They don't have to, you know. No. They've got to do the right thing by the horse connections. If they don't think that the next race is the right one for them, there's no obligation to go, even if there is public expectation on them.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, we get you from the Preakness to Europe, to France, in fact, where we had one jockey who preferred not to ride but to ski. This is Ote in the chase, and yeah, a little bit of, look at this, skiing. You have to think Aidan has impeded that other horse's chances considerably. Was he hoping he can jump back on?
Well, yeah, it was actually pretty skillful from the jockey, of course, but yeah, he was holding on to their rein, which you can see the horse of the leaders.
I'd like to have seen the steward's report. What was going through your mind when you were water skiing between two horses?
To be fair, it could have been much worse if he wasn't able to ski like he did.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's all we've got from around the traps for our news, our international news. But let's talk Winter Whispers, a horse that Aidan and I have selected for you that really has caught our eye over the past week. Well, let's start.
Is that a new graphic? Lovely.
It's a new little sting there. It's quite saucy, isn't it? Yeah, quite moody. What about for you, Aidan? You go first.
I'm
Take it away.
I'm going to go back to Riccarton last Thursday, and a horse who I think is just really starting to hit the straps. Here's Too Much. Just loomed up like it was just going to win this for absolute fun under Krishna Madhu. He's carrying 61 kilograms. He just seems to be going from strength to strength to strength. He's a really exciting horse. Shibano really fought back and made him work hard for the win this day, but Too Much as a horse I think you can follow right through this preparation, and maybe he's a horse who can step up to group company in the next.
I went for a horse that Mutter had a shift on Wednesday in the studio, and this horse caught my eye, Classic Champagne. You can see it sort of at the tail of the field, but in the closing stages really works home well. This is only over 1,200 metres, so I think over a bit further is certainly going to improve and pick one up shortly. Obviously, with the heavier conditions, got home really nicely to the line to pick up that, I think it was 4th spot actually in the end, so that was the eye catcher.
Pretty cool sort of information that we had on the day around jockey, wearing the cap of a young man who's in everyone's hearts and thoughts at the moment as well.
Yeah, you just think about the Schick family every day. Speaking of that, we just want to mention that Give a Little page for Jimmy Schick. An incredible amount of money has been raised already for the emergency services, and if you have 5 minutes and have the means, I really suggest you jump online and donate where possible. That's it from us here on your winter weigh-in. Great to have your company. It's been a pleasure working with you on this Monday afternoon.
I do just want to mention before we leave, we've had news through yesterday that Sid Brown, who was a Hall of Fame member for New Zealand racing, died at age 99 on Sunday. So our thoughts go out to his family, and obviously one of the greats of New Zealand racing. Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's it from us here on Winter Weigh-in. We'll join you next week for more racing action.